Welcome to the Interstate Mets Report with your hosts, Nelson and Chris.
What is up to all of my Mets people, the lovely people of YouTube? It is Friday. It is a beautiful day. It is a great day to have a great day. We are back with another episode of the Interstate Mets Report. Myself, CP, and my co-host, Nelson. What up, Nelson? How are you doing today?
Not too shabby. Glad that it's Friday. Excited for some football this weekend, and
I can't
looking
seem to
forward to
hear
it.
you. I'm not sure what's going on. But anyways, I will have to fix that. I appreciate everyone that's tuning in. Our usual plugs here on the show. Obviously, like I said, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, comment, subscribe to both YouTube channels. You know where to find us on X at Interstate Mets. There is our handle. Make sure to navigate over there and hit that follow button. You can catch Nelson and subscribe to his channel at Amish Country Mets Fan. And then you can always follow me if you're watching from my YouTube. Go ahead and go over to his, subscribe over there. And if you're watching from his YouTube, my handle's at CPNY Sports. All right, we have some great topics for you all. We got a couple comments in here. Our usual suspect, Mr. Jung Hoo Lee, is in the building. What is up? He says, hi, Nelson and Chris.
What up?
And he says, thanks for doing a Mets show. No problem. We got you covered, regardless of what's happening in Metsland. We will definitely have you covered. So, if you see the topics on the screen here. We're missing a little our intro slide. We're gonna get right into it and talk about the Mets National Series recap. Obviously, I think it was a 2-game set, which was a little bit unusual, but we had a really an offensive display, offensive fireworks that we saw in the first game, and the second game was a little bit more frustrating. Mets gave up the lead. Trevor Gott, I have no words for you anymore. I'm not sure whose decision it was to trade for you. If it was Billy Epler, I'm not sure who it was, but this guy is horrible and he should not make the roster. I'm just gonna say point blank. I'm feeling really transparent today. If you guys can't tell, I have like this mojo about me right now, and I'm feeling really transparent. And I just want to say, Trevor Gott, you stink. And that's all that's all it is. It's like he's been terrible ever since he's been traded to the Mets, and there's no reason he should be on this team at all moving forward next year. And we'll get into the transparency piece on Buck Showalter's comments later on in the show, as you can see down below. But Nelson, I know you're getting your mic set up here. Hopefully I can hear you in a second. What did you think? I'll pass it over to you if you got your setup here. If not, I'll give you a couple more minutes to get that set up. But what did you think of this series? Quick stat here. I will say we saw for one of the first times, I'm not sure if it's happened before September 5th, the baby Mets, all 4 Mets rookies in the lineup at the same time. They went 5 for 13, 5 runs, 6 RBI. So that was great to see there in that first game against the Nationals. What did you make of this series? Any key points you want to drive home? And just before you go, I just want to shout out Jose Quintana. Another solid, superb start, 7 innings pitched, only 1 earned run. So what were your thoughts, Nelson?
Can you hear me, first of all? Yes, no, maybe. Can't hear me?
Not going.
Can you
Audio
hear
is a little bit messed up on Nelson's side. We do apologize for the technical difficulties. Just say something whenever you get it figured out, and I'll let you hop in here. But I guess I'll just steal the show right now. Let me get to some of the comments here while we're kind of buffering here with this.
what the fuck?
Let's see. Jung-Hoo Lee asks, your thoughts on Met starter out for the rest of the season after freak accident leads to broken finger. What's going on there? I have no. Is that true? Is there any truth to that? Is it just Nelson that? I guess I couldn't hear Nelson. Maybe it was just me that I couldn't hear Nelson. Hold on. Let me get myself situated here as well. Hold on one second. We are having some speaker difficulty. We got Nelson back in here. Nelson, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, thank goodness. I was worrying
Finally.
for a second. Uh-huh.
I said finally.
Yeah, they're saying you sound fine. So what is this? Is I because honestly, I was out for this past weekend and this past, I haven't been paying attention. I tuned into some of the game. Um broken finger, what's going on here on my screen? And tell me about the Nationals series recap.
I honestly do not know. I saw that he got injured and he's out for the year, but I didn't see the news of what it was exactly, so I didn't hear about the breaking his pinky weightlifting. I don't have any reason not to trust Jung Hoo, so I'm assuming he's right.
Yeah.
Just another line of I think somebody said freak injuries the Mets have. It happens. It's not like we're really
Yeah, it's
missing. It's not like we're really missing him, so it's not, I don't think it's a bad thing. If that's the last we've seen of Carlos Carrasco, then so be it. He did have a nice season last year, but he was absolutely atrocious this year. Um, yeah, it's just
He's right. I
whatever.
just fact checked him. He fractured his pinky weightlifting in the weight room, and you just
Nice.
cannot make this stuff up. And that is the most I don't even want to like comment on that because I do feel bad for Carlos Carrasco. Obviously, he's not going to be on the team, but that is one of the most absurd ways to end your career on any team is breaking your pinky in the weight room. That is absolutely absurd. So, Mets National Series recap. Obviously, I gave my thoughts on it. I have very strong opinions on Trevor Gott moving into next season. Obviously, as you can tell, give me your thoughts on the series, the couple games that you saw, maybe some of the baby Mets, the rookies. What did you see that you liked or maybe disliked?
Oh yeah, I mean that first game, it was nice to beat up on Patrick Corbin, Quintana, showing again why he could be a valuable piece next year. So that's good to see. Uh, Nimmo had 3 hits. Lindor staying hot. He's up to 26 homers and 26 steals. He's really knocking on that 30-30 door. Alonso got himself, I think, did he hit a homer? Yeah, he did. He homered. Um, Vientos got a hit. Alvarez is starting to cook a little bit again, finally. That's good to see. Mauricio got another hit. Beatty got another hit. So that first game was great. Second game, Trevor Gott stinks. My only hope is that we don't keep him just to try to justify that trade. Hopefully Stearns, we'll get to that. If Stearns is indeed coming in, he moves on from Gott in the offseason, because we really I don't think we need to see him next year. He stinks. And I don't want to see him even for a month. I don't want to do that experiment. So I'm out on Trevor Gott as well. No need to see that. Jose Budo looked good though. He pitched really well that start. So if it wasn't for Gott and Bickford, maybe we could have swept the series. Not that it matters.
No, it doesn't matter.
So
Trevor got. Trevor got.
And he's been doing it a lot. And again, second game, Lindor, couple hits again, Mauricio, a couple hits. So it's good to see some of these guys performing. I love what I see out of Lindor. I'm excited for him. The dude is phenomenal. Mauricio, I can't say anything bad about him so far. He's looked decent enough in the field. Not that he's made any like crazy plays, but he's made the easy ones. Obviously, his defense was a concern. He's stuck at second base, so it looks like that's the plan, keeping him at second, at least for the rest of the year. Maybe next year in the spring they decide otherwise, if he's still here. Obviously, anything can happen. Lots can happen in the offseason. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see moving forward what they decide to do with him. But I hope he continues to stay hot with the bat, because it's been nice to see he's hitting the ball hard. I'm excited. I'm excited for some of these guys, and hopefully Alvarez keeps it up for the rest of the month too, because he was really struggling. It was looking really bad. So
nice little 3-run home run as well from Francisco Alvarez in the series. So that's great to see. I really want to see him finish the season off with a bang, so to speak. We're gonna get to some comments here. There's a lot of comments. I appreciate everybody. Safe to say, we could take Luis Rios off the FA list this offseason. Yes. Unfortunate news. That it is really just. It's just a terrible situation, and yes, I would say that is correct, Stevie, 100%.
He may be
Yes,
joining his
okay,
buddy
guys.
Trevor Bauer in Japan.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole situation. That's a whole nother situation as well. Josh stopping in. Appreciate you, Josh. Yes, I know. I guess it was just me that couldn't hear Nelson. I apologize. I had to make
Yeah,
you
thanks, Chris.
break
I
out
went
the
through all this
mic.
trouble to pull out the mic and everything, and you were the only one who couldn't hear me.
Yeah, and Stevie Mack is supporting that claim, and Jung Hoo Lee. All right, I get it. Nelson sounded good. All right. Um, let's see. We got M-Easy in the house. I blame Trevor Gott for the second game against the Nats. Yeah, 100%. I mean, that was on him. Just he shouldn't be on this roster. And like Nelson said, to his point, you would hope that he's going to not, be here as soon as David Stearns gets this around. Hopefully not justifying the move from Billy Epler. Hopefully not trying to sell the Mets fans on him being a mainstay in the bullpen so they don't have to address the bullpen this offseason, because the Mets really do have to address the bullpen. And I think that MEZ agrees here. The second game reiterated how badly this team needs to improve the bullpen in the offseason, 100%. So that is that. That is 100%. Stevie, Carlos Carrasco. This is the very first time Jung Hoo broke the news to me because I had no idea. I guess I missed it. Carlos Carrasco is out for the year. He fractured his finger while he was weightlifting, or he fractured his finger in the weight room. So that is the end of his Mets career. Let's see. We got Senga tonight, Halloween in September. Yes, sir. Ghost Fork. Hopefully that's going to be out and about today. I always tune in when Quintana or Senga are pitching. Like I said, these guys are going to be here next season. I want to see how they perform and, finish out the season. So, let's see. Why are we still talking about Cookie? What up, Justin? How are you, Justin? It's clear that this was just the Mets making up story not to make Cookie look bad, saving him from some of the. You know what? Cookie already looked bad because when they placed him on waivers, nobody claimed him, so he already looked bad as it was, and his numbers look bad as it was. So, yeah. So that's what it was. But moving on here, that was our national series. We want to get to more of the juicier topics, and David Stearns is definitely a juicy topic. We want to give you some updates on the Mets' latest prospects, so we're going to move right along here. Like I said, just to reiterate, make sure you hit that thumbs up for this video on us, on this video for us, I should say. Sorry, mixing my words up. Subscribe to both of our YouTube channels. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button, all that fun stuff. I definitely appreciate that as well. Let's move on to some of the David Stearns talk, because I honestly, like I said, I just haven't been in the loop. I traveled last weekend. I'm still trying to get in the groove of things in terms of Met stuff. I've been doing some Giants content on my channel with the season fastly approaching week 1 here. So, Nelson, talk to me about what the latest reports are, David Stearns. I heard that a deal, quote unquote, is maybe perhaps imminent, closer than what people are giving it credit for, because there was some sort of mix up of the rules of David Stearns being under contract for the Brewers. Clear that situation up for me and our viewers, and what the latest reports are on David Stearns potentially coming to an agreement with the Mets in terms of being the next president of baseball operations.
Yeah, well, it started with I think it was Gammons last week said put out a tweet or whatever saying that the Mets could hire a president within the next 2 weeks. And then that drew some speculation because everybody was like, well, if it's Stearns, he can't be hired within the next 2 weeks and blah, blah, blah. Apparently more people did some digging. Stearns' contract allowed him to start talking to teams. I think it was August 1st. It was. So the Mets have been able to talk to him. Andy Martino says that talks have progressed pretty far. He made the point that Stearns or Cohen has been interviewing guys for the regular president job, for Sandy's old job, for a while, and he's hasn't been enamored with anybody. And usually if he talks to you once and he doesn't like you, he just moves on. So he thinks that there's definitely smoke here because he hasn't moved on from Stearns. They're definitely still talking. They're moving things along. It's progressing. Another report came out that said most people in baseball believe he will be the president of baseball operations in the near future. It's unclear whether he can actually be announced before the season's over. It's weird because he's not technically the president in Milwaukee anymore. He's only an advisor. So I don't know if that changes. Don't know if that changes the rules and how soon they can announce a hiring. But it looks like it's gonna happen. I see a comment from MEZ. Yeah, there's been reports that the Astros are interested as well, but most of the reports say that Stearns is leaning pretty heavily towards the Mets. He was a Met fan growing up. We all know the background. He actually worked for the Mets like really way back in the day. I think it was as an intern. So he's got connections. He's kind of, everybody seems to think he really wants the job. I think his wife is from Houston, so that's where that connection goes. But I don't think that's gonna. I don't know. I'd be pretty shocked at this point if he's not. That could be my famous last words. But I really think it's gonna happen sooner than later.
Well, I mean, one thing that we do know, just being Mets fans, is that nothing is for certain. So I'm taking all these reports with a grain of salt. I hear you, MEZ, on the whole Astros thing. Like I said, I don't know. We just don't know where David Stern stands. But all we have to do is, all we have to base this off of is these trusted reports and these reporters that have notoriety around the league. So that's what we're doing. And I just wanted to bring the point home that, in what we talked about in our last episode on Tuesday, like when we judge a president of baseball operations and their success, it doesn't matter if he doesn't have a World Series title under his belt, especially with what he's done with the Brewers. Pobo's making and setting the team up to make the playoffs consistently, which is what David Stearns has done in Milwaukee, is good enough for me, and it should be a good enough for a lot of Mets fans, because that's something that the Mets' next step needs to be, is making the playoffs consistently in hopes of putting a season together where they can be the last team standing. So I think that David Stearns will be a great addition, and he'll be a guy that will help the Mets do that, just like he did in Milwaukee, or an organization that was a little bit in flux before he stepped in those doors, and he helped them a ton. So that's the point on that. Want to get to this comment here specifically, and this is I've been an advocate for the Mets pursuing Josh Hader for this reason. I think that Hader's a big name on the market. Obviously, Nelson, you've been adamant about Diaz remaining in closer. That's all fine. If you get Hader to be a setup man, that 1-2 punch in the back end of the bullpen is great. But you also do have to prioritize the front end guys too, because we cannot throw out Trevor Gott. We cannot throw out Drew Smith consistently in 2024 and beyond. So the money allocation, I get the Mets are probably going to be over the tax again, we would assume, but you have to have an evenly distributed bullpen. And it has to, like MEZ was saying, that's like 3 innings. Usually the bullpen's getting you 12 outs or maybe even more, depending on how long the starter goes. So you need those back into the bullpen guys, but you also need the guys up front to hold it down in case the starter can't go more than 5 or 6 innings like we've seen a lot this season. So any comments on that? Any thoughts on that, Nelson?
No, I agree. As far as I said about Hader, I'd love Hader to be on the team. I find it hard to believe he will come here to set up, and I'm not taking the closer's job from Diaz. That's just my stance on that. But if he will, then I'm all for it. Bring him on in, and that would be a dominant back end of the bullpen. But you're right. We also need guys for the middle innings. We have Rayleigh's going to be here. Ottavino's probably going to be here.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so we'll see about Gott. We hope he's not. We need a long man. Last year we had a legitimate long man, and that really helped us a lot. This year we've been piecing that role together. We haven't really had one. I really would like a solid long man in the bullpen. That would help us in games where for some reason the starter just doesn't have it. It can save the rest of your bullpen for a whole series. And sometimes you can even come back and win those games if you get the long man to come in and stop the damage, give your offense a chance to get going. Sometimes you can steal some wins that way. This year, we just haven't had that opportunity.
Can you see Lucchese in that role potentially?
No, just because they don't, for whatever reason, they don't seem to be that high on Lucchese. I mean, they give him a spot start here or there, but I think they view him more as that, as just like a fill-in, like if we need you, emergency type guy. I don't know. That Cherv and his stuff, maybe. I mean, the problem with Lucchese is his stuff is so like there's nothing to it. Like it's literally he just throws junk. I don't know if they think that that's not good enough. But we'll see. I mean, I would imagine he'd maybe at least get a shot at it. I don't know.
I think he'd be serviceable in that kind of role. I think he'd be
Yeah,
serviceable.
it's possible. It's possible, but I mean, I don't know what the plans are with Budo. Like, could Budo be serviceable in that kind of role? He's got a little bit better stuff for sure. He's younger. I don't necessarily. I mean, maybe he could be the fifth starter, but I see him more as ending up in the bullpen role at some point. So I could see him maybe getting that shot too. Like, so I don't know. We'll see. There's gonna be different options, but I think we need a long man, and we need just guys in the middle innings that can do the job. Drew Smith is not it. God hope he's off the team. So yeah, I can tell you a ton of guys I don't want. The Gott and Drew Smith are two of them for sure.
They're the headliners of who we don't want. I agree. Jung-Hoo says Hader wants to only be a ninth inning closer. He hates pitching eighth innings. I'm gonna tell you right now, I know we've disagreed on this. If Hader comes to New York and he wants to be the closer, I'm sorry, I have to have at least a preliminary discussion with Edwin Diaz. I have to. Like, that would be so electric, but I get the whole Diaz is the closer thing, but I'm just saying, like, if Diaz says no, then I'm like, okay, that's fine. I got you. I will respect that request. I get that, but you at least have a discussion. That's where I'm coming from. But I get your side of things as well. MEZ says, I guess he was on Rob's channel saying it's crazy to think about Hader when he brought up trying to sign him. Listen, it's not feasible. I'm not saying that it's likely. I'm just saying that if the Mets somehow got that done and they are content with going over the luxury tax, having those two guys, if they have any sort of lead by the eighth inning, I'm feeling pretty confident in winning that ball game. So that's all. And even the seventh inning, because I think Rayleigh is struggling a little bit in the last month here or so. And I really haven't been in tune with his numbers overall in the season, but I like what I see out of Rayleigh. And I think he'll be serviceable for us moving forward. Obviously, they decided not to part ways with him at the deadline. So I really think a guy like Hader would solidify this bullpen right away because you can slot in Rayleigh to an earlier slot. And you also have David Robertson as well. That Stevie Mack mentioned is going to be a free agent. I know he's looked terrible in Miami, but he was really solid for the Mets when he was here. He is a little bit older too, so I don't really know if that reunion makes sense, but he's out there if we really want him.
Thing about Hader, and listen, like I said, I'd love if he wants to come set up, I'd love it, but he's gonna want closer money either way, and he's gonna want probably big closer money. Are the Mets gonna spend that much on just two guys in the bullpen? Because Diaz is making a lot of money too. So that's just something to consider. I don't know if the Mets are going to want to spend quite that much on the back end of the bullpen. We'll see. It's possible. That's a lot of money to throw to two guys in the back end of the bullpen.
I agree, which is why I think just this comment from Justin and what I'm saying is like bring back David Robertson on another 1-year deal if he's willing. So I think that'd be a good,
I don't hate
I guess, and I know he's been, like I said, I know he's been terrible for the Marlins. I get it, but like that's a cheap option and it's a low risk option too, because I don't really know how much money he's going to want. He's kind of playing himself out of a big deal this offseason with his performance in Miami, but we'll see. MEZ made a good point too before we move on here to the Mets prospect updates. I know we're short on time today. Is Jordan Hicks a free agent? He is a free agent, actually. He is a free agent in 2020, or this offseason, I should say. He's going to be a free agent, and he's a flamethrower, man. He's a flamethrower. His command's a little bit of a question mark, but he's someone that the Mets can target as well. There's going to be a good amount of bullpen options on the market this season, so it's an area that the Mets need help in. And I think that it's an area that this front office is going to address. I think it's just safe to say that. Let's move on and just segue here into our next topic and giving you all a little bit of the latest updates on the Mets prospects. I have a couple stats written down here from the mainstays of the guys that we got in the trade deadline today, or not today, but this season. We got Acuna. He's got his average, and these are all stats with them since they've been traded to the New York Mets, by the way. Acuna's been struggling a little bit. I know he had that power surge, 2 home runs that we're going to talk about here as well. We're going to talk about Acuna's game. He's hitting 266 in AA for the Mets. I think he came over. I think he's got around 30 games under his belt in AA Binghamton. 678 OPS, which is concerning. 12 RBIs, 13 stolen bases to add to that, and then those 2 home runs in that one game that we're talking about. Clifford is struggling. I will say Clifford is struggling, and I know that a lot of people were high on him when we traded for him in that package deal with Gilbert. He's hitting 189 in the Mets organization since coming over, 6 home runs, 700 OPS on the dot in 29 games. So that is a concern in high A ball for Ryan Clifford. You got Drew Gilbert. Listen, when we were with on Talking Mets with Rob, we were talking about our prospects to watch moving forward. I said Drew Gilbert because I love that man's game on offense. Not only that sweet lefty swing he's got, but also I think he is a phenomenal player to have coming up on the defensive side of things. He is killing it ever since coming over from Houston in AA. He's hitting 317, 18 RBIs. He's got 1,107 OPS, 6 home runs, and 408 on base percentage. Are you kidding me, Drew Gilbert? Are you kidding me? And then to round it out, Jet Williams has 6 home runs. He's been on a little bit of a hot streak as well. Jet Williams is a prospect that we both like. 293 in high A ball since being called up to high A Brooklyn. 876 OPS and 10 stolen bases to go along with that as well. I didn't have time to make a graphic. I was going to make a graphic that had all these names for you all to see with their stats. I apologize on that. I just didn't have enough time today. So maybe we'll update you before the season's end. Nelson, I know we've talked a little bit about prospects on this show since we started it. Tell me, start anywhere you want. Any of the guys I just named or any guy that is outside of the guys I just named. Tell me what you love, what you're concerned with. Give me your thoughts on the prospects.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited about most of them. Like you said, Clifford is struggling a bit, but that happens. These guys go through their slumps. I'm not too worried about that. Acuna, the last week, he's been phenomenal. His 304 batting average, 955 OPS. So he's showing the power, at least in that one game. I don't have many concerns about Acuna. I know he started off slow, but I love what I see. Easy brought up the guy that we traded for, got in the trade for Pham. I don't think that's who you. He was raking. He hasn't played a lot. The last 28 days, he's only played 7 games. I don't know if he's injured or they shut him down for the year or what, but he was hitting very well. No, I was talking the Jeremy Rodriguez kid we got for Pham.
Oh, Rodriguez, okay.
That's the kid we got for
Leone,
and he's been really good far.
He's hitting 264 with 6 home runs and an 811 OPS. That's Jeremiah Jackson from the Angels.
Yeah, he's been pretty solid so far. And obviously my favorite guy is Jet Williams. I can't say enough about Jet Williams. He's the one guy that I really would not. I'm not one to hug prospects and be like people are untouchable. in the right move, I'm willing to give up just about anybody. But Jet Williams is the one guy that I do not want to trade at all. I feel like he's going to be special, man. I don't know. I could be just completely off base, and we'll see down the road, but I really like what I see from Jet. The kid's got tremendous speed, as evidenced there by the inside the park home runs. He's got actual power too. He walks a ton. He's got a great eye at the plate. He steals tons of bases. Like he's all around. He's a just phenomenal player. I haven't seen anything. And as he's progressed through the minors, he's continues to get better. So that's what you like to see. So I'm all in on Jet Williams. That's for sure.
Yeah, and he's checked all the boxes, like you said. But the one question, and the one, I guess, we've talked about this before, and this is what Justin brings up, is where are all these kids going to play? There's no room anywhere, and there's got to be trades coming. There are going to be trades coming, 100%. If you've watched a show, and Justin, forgive me, I don't know if I've seen you comment here before. I think this is your first time, maybe, unless I'm just mistaken. But if you have been listening in the background, I appreciate you dropping some comments in. We have talked about this point a lot. We do think trades are coming this offseason. A guy that we thought was going to get traded, obviously, was Ronnie Mauricio, but now that he's up, it still remains to be seen. But we are not ruling out a Ronnie Mauricio trade this offseason anyways, because like Justin is saying, there is limited spots on, in the 9 spots that the Mets have to fill in the lineup. So I think the common thing that we said is that the untouchables so far, right? And we say untouchables with, I mean, the state of the Mets right now, there is really no 100% certainty, like, of anybody coming and going. So our 3 guys that we really would like to see make it to the majors in a Mets uniform are Luis Angel Acuna, Drew Gilbert, and I really want to put emphasis on Drew Gilbert because I know that he struggled in the AA farm system for the Houston Astros when he got acquired. A lot of people are talking about Ryan Clifford this, Ryan Clifford that, and Drew Gilbert has put all the halts on those conversations because he is absolutely raking and he's playing great defense in the Mets organization since coming over. And then also Jet Williams, like Nelson just said, we are both high in Jet Williams. Those 3 guys, you can't touch. Anybody else, perhaps fair game for the right price. Maybe a guy, maybe a big bat. We talk about Juan Soto a lot. We don't know the situation with the Padres. Maybe an ace type starter. You talk about Dylan Cease. You talk about
I
Corbin
think
Burns.
they're going to trade for pitching. I really think they're going to trade for pitching. I don't think – I mean, they will sign a free agent or 2 for sure, but I think we're going to see trades for pitching in the offseason, whether it's starters, whether it's relievers. It's going to happen. And it may, and to Justin's point, maybe some of these kids are in the deal, maybe not. Maybe it's Mauricio. Maybe they decide they don't believe in Beatty, and another team does believe in Beatty. Maybe Jeff McNeil's in a trade. You never know. Like there's tons of options. Mauricio could still be traded, like we said. Almost anybody is up for debate about whether they can be moved. Like you said, we prefer to keep a couple guys. To me, really, Jet's the guy. Everybody else, I mean, it would hurt me if Acuna's traded. It would hurt me if Gilbert's traded, but I would be able to live with it. Jet's the one guy that one would hurt a ton. I haven't liked the prospect this much since, I can't even remember. I was really into Scott Kazmir when he was a prospect, and that trade sucked. I mean, I know he didn't necessarily end up being too great himself, but the trade was horrible, and that trade pissed me off. So I depending on what we got back for Jet, if we did trade him, I guess I might be a little upset. If it's like for a Juan Soto, I can't be too upset, I guess, in the end of the day. But I mean, it all depends who we get and what the move is and how the team makes the team look overall. But yeah, there's definitely a concern about where all these guys are going to play, but not all these guys are going to be here. And I think most people know that.
Yeah, and that's definitely the common theme here that we've been driving home in all of our episodes. Like, we know trades are coming. The bullpen is not going to get fixed through free agency alone. And you take a candidate directly off the list with Urias at this point. Yamamoto still in play. You'll have Senga and Quintana as your mainstays, like I said. Maybe you backfill the rotation to fifth spot with a guy like Mike Vasil. Maybe one of the guys who we have already in the majors, Peterson or McGill, take that spot because they somehow get another chance. We don't know how it shakes out, but there's going to be at least one trade for a pitcher. I think we're pretty confident about that. We just want to see what tier level pitcher. Is it really going to be that ace type guy? Or are they going to roll with more of a 2, 3, 4 behind Kodai and Quintana? We would hope it's an ace type guy because Senga right now is pitching like an ace, but that'd be unfair to him to put that much pressure on him in his second season, to me. Not that he can't do it. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying if you get a 1-2 punch with Senga and another ace type guy, that's better than a tertiary type pitcher. So that is and I guess Stevie's asking, is Jet too small to play third base? What's your evaluation in that?
Yeah, I don't see him at third. He's played some center. I could see him play the outfield. He's obviously not going to play short, even though that's where he's played, I think, the majority of his games. His second base or center field seem to be his positions. And we'll see where it goes. Like, obviously right now he's kind of blocked there, but like I said, trades could happen. We'll see what happens. And Nimmo's not. I love Nimmo. Nimmo's not going to be the center fielder for too many more years. He's just not a prototypical center fielder. At some point, he's going to shift to a corner spot for somebody. So, yeah, we'll see.
This is how I can see it shaking out. And I'll just say this before we move on to Buck Showalter. I can see Luis Angel Acuna playing second base in the major leagues. I can see Jet Williams playing center field. Brandon Nimmo switches over to left, and I can see Drew Gilbert playing right field. If those guys all make it up at the same time, I think that's how it shakes out. McNeil's probably going to be gone at that rate. Marte's definitely going to be gone at that point, and you'll still have Lindor as your shortstop. Hopefully, Pete Alonso maybe as your first baseman. We'll see. We'll monitor his situation, and then third base is really
I was going to say, who's the third baseman in that scenario? Mauricio, Beatty.
I don't know if Mauricio can play third base at a higher level than or at the same level as Brett Beatty, then I'll take his bat over Brett Beatty's. And like I said, I really want Brett Beatty to pan out, but it just hasn't looked that way so far. He could be on the trading block too.
And another guy
we have a crazy offseason.
Another guy we didn't even mention that's been doing pretty well lately in the minors is Kevin Parada. He's going to have a spot somewhere if we keep him. If not, he's also another trade piece. So it's just, we have a lot of talent down in the minors right now.
What do you think of this guy throwing a no-hitter in Double-A last night?
Yeah, he's kind of come out of nowhere. He's had a few solid starts, I think, in a row. Sometimes these guys are just a flash in the pan. They have a couple solid starts. You never hear from them again. Just got to follow him. I'll follow him along with him a little more. I haven't done too much studying on him, but from what I've seen, he did look good.
Yeah. And MAZ asking me if I would trade low on Beatty. I wouldn't, but that's why I hope he turns it around here. And this recent stint in the minors will help him get back on track. I know he had a couple of hits in that national series.
I wouldn't trade Beatty right now.
Yeah, it's not a good spot to do so. I'm just saying, moving forward, like, I don't think he's as safe as everyone makes him out to be in terms of how fast the Mets are going to be in contention in 2025 for sure. We'll see about 2024, and that's just leave it at. And then we have here Scherzer. How's the Scherzer trade looking now? Yeah, Astros. I mean, the Texas Rangers downfall over the last couple of I guess last month or so. It's very 2022 Mets-esque. So, and we'll see even if they make the playoffs. So, I mean, I don't even know what's going on over there in Texas, but
yeah, it was kind of funny to see Scherzer get kind of lit up on the same night that Acuna had his breakout game. That was interesting to see.
Worlds colliding perfectly. All right, let's move on to Buck Showalter's most recent comments. We're gonna have a field day with this one. I didn't even know what Buck Showalter said. I didn't hear Gary Cohen say anything about it until you brought it up to me. Tell us what Buck Showalter his lineup comments moving forward in the month of September before we close the season out. Tell me what your thoughts are on it. Tell the viewers, if they don't know what we're talking about, what he said to Gary Cohen in their conversation, and we can throw up a nice little graphic here in a second.
Trying to find the actual comment. Oh yeah. I don't know if I'm quoting it directly, but he says he owes it to contending teams to put his best lineups out rather than prioritizing the development of his young core. In no world does that make any sense. First off, when you're losing the way we are, your priority is always to develop the young core. Second off, you don't owe it to anybody to contend. What the hell do we owe? Why? We don't owe shit to nobody. Sorry for the language.
No, you're good.
And then lastly, your best lineup is the young core, you freaking moron. Who you think Jonathan Arouse and even DJ Stewart and Daniel Vogelbach and you think that's your best lineup? Like, what are you smoking? Like, I'm done with this guy. Like, I was trying to convince myself that if we kept them along for one more year, I could live with it. I can't. I need him to go because this crap with him catering to veterans drives me insane. I can't take it. We have a youth movement coming. He is not the guy to lead that youth movement. He's just not, because if you give him any sort of veteran presence, he's going to play them over the kids because it's just, he can't help himself. He really cannot help himself.
So is it official, Nelson? Is it official? All right, let me see. Let's see. Is it official?
Yes,
show must go.
Yes, I totally
It's official.
agree.
We're starting the slogan. Show must go.
Next episode, I might have a little picket sign that says show must go. It's just I just don't understand. Like, the comment made no sense.
Yeah, I think the context of what the comments were made was that he was talking about to Gary Cohen, and Gary Cohen was just saying, like, for example, he's going to make the strength of the lineup based off of who they're playing and who their opponent is. So he's going to throw his quote unquote better lineup out, and that's presumably right. He was saying that he's not going to play the kids. So he was saying, like, against a team like the Nationals, I'm going to throw out Brett Beatty versus a lefty and have that lefty on lefty matchup. But if we're playing someone like a contending team, Brett Beatty is not seeing that at bat against the lefty. And it just makes no sense to have this cornball, this goofball manager openly telling us this. And I guess he didn't openly tell us this from his own mouth, but this is what Gary Cohen is saying. And I think we all trust Gary Cohen and what his analysis of the conversation was. Hindering these kids and not giving them the necessary at-bats because you want to play matchups when you're X amount of games out of division, the wild card in September with 25, 26, whatever games to go. That is cornball status right there.
Because you owe it to the contending teams to do so.
And he owes it. He feels like he owes it to not give Brett Beatty at bats against the lefty based off of who they're playing. What does he owe? What do the Mets owe anybody?
They owe nobody anything. Like, you think other teams would be doing that for the Mets? Like, if the positions were reversed? Even still, the point remains, it is not your best lineup. The fact that you're an idiot and think that it just floors me. Like, bro, get a grip. Brett Beatty, you need to let this kid develop. Like, you're hindering his development. You could be like negatively impacting this kid's career, but you don't give a crap because you owe it to who the Marlins and the whoever, the Reds and the Cubs and whoever else is fighting for the wild card spot. You owe it to them to just whatever.
Let's just take a moment of silence. I can't. I've said this for far too long, and he's really struck a nerve in me this season. Really, truly. So yeah, I mean, it really is sad. I said it all along this whole season. I don't buy into the whole lefty on lefty, righty righty matchups crap anyways. I think it's something that's very old school, very played out, and I think that it's
In some
situation by
instances,
situation basis.
yeah. Yeah, in some instances, it makes sense in a spot where just like you have a lefty reliever that's just dominant against lefties. You maybe want to bring in a righty off the bench or something. I could see that, but it's just most cases, it's like you said, it's just overplayed. I'm just tired of the old school philosophy with this guy, and I'm just done. But I need to get going soon anyway. So.
Yeah, and the most important thing that you said is that with the youth movement coming, like you can't have a guy like that at the helm. You just can't do it. You really can't do it. And there's really nothing else to say on Buck Showalter. I mean, the comments were what the comments were. It was terrible comments. It's a terrible philosophy, and this guy needs to get out of here. Right? I think the comment section is saying the same thing. You got some comments on Buck Showalter expressing their opinions. Let Chavez finish the year out already. Aaron says, "What up, Aaron? All we need to know is that Craig Counsell is coming to Flushing." We talked about that in the last episode as well. Definitely open to that. The tanking is in full effect. Open letter to Buck Showalter. And then they were better off leaving Brett Beatty in AAA if they're just going to pull a move like this. And then this is an interesting thing. Not one person in the media has followed up with these comments to question Buck on this yet, and that's the most frustrating thing. We haven't heard any. And you know what answer he'd give? He'd roll his eyes and give you that classic old man Buck Showalter answer, and it's just like,
But
I don't even care to hear
the
that
media doesn't
anymore,
ever really question Buck. They take it pretty easy on him because he's their pal. He's been around for a while. He worked as a media guy. They let's be honest, they give him a pass a lot of the time. We've seen some at points this year they kind of bit back at him a little bit, but for the most part, he gets it pretty easy compared to most managers that would be in this situation. Another manager that has the highest payroll in all of baseball and his team is this bad, I don't think he would get this much of a pass in New York as much as Buck has.
Do you compare that to the Boone situation, the Aaron Boone situation? Like in terms of how bad the teams have been?
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees actually look somewhat better lately, but the difference there is that Boone's made the playoffs pretty much every year he's been there. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's just a little different. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't like Boone either, but you give me a choice, I'll take Boone over Showalter.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the main point that we're trying to drive here is that we do not want to see Buck Showalter fill out the last year of his contract. And I know, Nelson, you got to go. I honestly got to go as well. We just want to make a quick little episode for you all during our regular scheduled time. I appreciate everyone popping out. Stay tuned for the Interstate. We're literally trying to get through this month, and then we'll be providing you all the latest updates, all the latest content, our opinions on the Mets in this offseason. Buckle up, Mets fans. Thank you for riding with us. Thank you for taking your time out of your day before the weekend to come talk some Mets baseball with us. This offseason is going to be crazy. Enjoy it while you can because we'll see a lot of happenings and you'll see a lot more of us talking about the Mets this offseason. As always, before we close it out, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button on both channels, regardless of whose channel you're watching on. Drop a like, hit that thumbs up, please. Comment your thoughts and opinions even after the live chat has concluded on anything that we talked about today. Follow us on Interstate Mets at Interstate Mets on X. Subscribe to Nelson's YouTube at Amish Country Mets Fan. You can catch him on X as well. It's at Amish Country Met, a little bit of a different handle there. If you're on my YouTube channel, go over to his. It's in the description. Go ahead and click on his channel and subscribe there. If you're on Nelson's channel, subscribe to mine. Love this show that we're doing. We've been doing it for a couple months now, up to episode 19. Next episode is episode 20. Crazy to think that time is flying already. So, providing you all the latest content. Follow me on here. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me on X and Instagram as well. Posting regularly on those at CPNY Sports. Same handle. I appreciate it. Nelson, final words before we get out of here.
No, man, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate you being on as always with me. And yeah, we're gonna get through these last few weeks. And hey, now we got some football to distract us, so that'll be fun. I saw your show yesterday. I caught it after the fact, but your show with Matt yesterday, that was good stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be fun to have a little bit of other stuff to pay attention to. So
Yeah,
I appreciate everybody and have a great weekend.
Yeah, you as well. I appreciate it. Stevie Mac says we got to get Matt on the show soon as well. We're definitely, that's in the works. We got to get him back on here, doing a lot more football stuff, but we got to talk Mets with Matt as well. Follow him, subscribe to his channel. He has a YouTube channel. I'll link it in the description as well. It's at Flushing Sunny 41. Flushing SUNNY 41. He has a YouTube channel. He's going to be making football content. If you're up for that, Nelson, if you ever want to talk some football, come on the pod. You let me know. I got the Feeling Blue pod. Giants pod with Aaron here in the comments as well, from the TMS podcast. I appreciate it. Justin says, let's go G-Men. Huge game for us this Sunday night. Let's pull out a win versus Dallas. I appreciate you all rocking with the Interstate Mets Report. We are out. We will see you all later.
Peace.
Let's go Mets.
Thank you for watching the Interstate Mets Report. Streaming Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to @Amish Country Mets Fan and